Hello again, everybody. Laszlo Montgomery with another Chengyu, Chinese idiom, or saying, a quickie today. Not a long or involved story, but a useful and relatable one all the same. Today, we look at the woman with the unforgettable voice, Han-e, who coincidentally was also from the state of Han. This ancient state is part of what's today Shanxi and Henan. And guess which period of Chinese history our saying for today originated? Well, if you guessed the spring and autumn period, you guessed right. Eastern Zhou Dynasty again. The Han state was completely surrounded by enemies. During the Warring States period, they were the first kingdom to go. But our story takes place when they were still around. This time around at the Chinese Sayings Podcast, we're going to learn about 余音绕梁. And like all the Chinese sayings we'll look at in this second season, this one has something to do with music. So let's break it down as we always do. 余音绕梁. The first character, 余, means remaining or surplus, among other things. 音 is sound. 绕 means to revolve or to coil around. And Liang, well, besides being a very common surname, means the beam of a roof. And 绕梁 means of a sound to reverberate. So at face value, these four characters say, remaining sound coils around the roof beam, or reverberates. What can that possibly mean? Let's find out. Today's story comes out of a work we have not referenced yet, the Liezi, this classic from ancient China, along with the Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi, are the three books that make up the Taoism trilogy, the three core books of Taoism. And this Chengyu comes from chapter 5 of the Liezi. It's called the Tang Wen, the questions of Tang. That's first tone Tang. It means soup. But it's also a surname, and in this example is the surname of the Shang Dynasty founder, King Tang, the Shang being the oldest dynasty in Chinese history for which we have written records. CHP episodes 15 and 114 if you want to hear more. Just saying. So from this chapter of the Liezi, we have the story of Han-e, who traveled from her home in the kingdom of Han to the neighboring kingdom of Qi. Qi is in Shandong province. It's been mentioned before. By the time Han-e arrived at the west gate of the city, called the Yongmen, she was starving, broke, and had run out of food. As I said, Han-e had a beautiful singing voice. She could move people to tears sometimes. Hungry and all, she set herself up outside the city gate in the Qi capital, Linzi, and began singing for her supper in that amazing voice she had. She had attracted quite a crowd, and their jaws just dropped as they beheld the sound of her voice, not to mention her beauty. Their hearts were moved with her songs and by the sheer artistry of what they were hearing. And when she left her spot beside the Yongmen to go look for an inn to rest, people still stood by the city gate listening, even though there was nobody there anymore. And for 3 days, it was said, when people stopped outside that spot at Yongmen where she sang, it said the sound of Han-e's unforgettable melodious voice still lingered, as if she was still standing there. Meanwhile, Han-e didn't have enough cash to get a room at any inn, and on top of that, the innkeeper really laid into her and scolded her for her poverty and just gave her a whole attitude because of her empty purse. And he told Han-e to beat it. She burst into tears at the hopelessness of her situation and for the cold-heartedness of the innkeeper. Those who were close by heard the sound of her weeping and were so overwhelmed with grief and sadness themselves that they, too, were hit with this ungovernable fit of sobbing. And some people were so moved by Han-e that they couldn't sleep or eat for 3 days. And so they took pity on her and fed her, gave her strings of cash, and begged her to return to the Yongmen to sing her songs and make everybody happy and cheerful. And that's what she did. And she sang for the people of Qi and the residents there, who, over time, also acquired a reputation for their excellent singing, would say of Han-e, 语音 绕梁, that the sound of Han-E's singing lingered and reverberated among the rafters. And, well, there's a rejoinder to this, sort of like in that past episode from last season, episode 3, of a swan feather from 1,000 miles away. Qian li song mao, that Chengyu would be followed with the words li qing, qing yi zhong. It's a mere trifle, but it's heavy with meaning and affection. Well, in the case of Han-E, not only did the sounds linger among the rafters, but 3日不绝, it didn't stop for 3 days. 3日, 3 days, 不绝was prolonged. So that's the complete deluxe version of this Chengyu. 4 characters plus 4. But, just like 千里送鹅毛, all you have to say is 余音绕梁, and you're in like Flynn. The rejoinder, no es necesario. If you want the best of both worlds, there's also a conjunction of the two that goes 绕梁, it reverberated among the rafters, 3日 for 3 days. But if you just say 余音绕梁, you're golden. No one's going to look at you funny or call you a jerk. Nowadays, this Chengyu is used to describe what you might say after hearing an incredible speech or after attending a TED Talk or anything like that. And if the words spoken affected you, like words can do sometimes, then you could tell your friend, 余音绕梁. Wow, the words are still reverberating in my head. So you can use it that way too. Anything, a speech, a tune, a podcast, whatever. If you can't get that out of your head, you have every right to say 余音绕梁, or any of the other variations of that Chengyu. And as the rejoinder, 3日不绝, completely optional. So that, 私の友人, is going to be that for this time. Nothing long and drawn out. A quick, simple and easy Chinese saying with a simple and easy story attached to it. I use this one every now and then. Now you can too. 余音绕梁. And if you haven't figured out yet, all the Chinese names and words, as well as the tone marks on the pinyin, are all available for you at the website to assist you if you need it. That's at teacup.media. I'm sure I don't have to tell you about the China History Podcast and China Vintage Hour, 2 other podcast programs for such intelligent and good-looking listeners like yourselves, all available for free, as I said, at teacup.media. And also, don't forget, if you're traveling on Cathay Pacific Airways and you get the itch to learn some Chinese history or a few Chinese sayings and you forgot your Sony Walkman, all you got to do is hook yourself up to Cathay's award-winning in-flight entertainment system and listen away. Hours upon hours of China history podcasts and Chinese sayings to help you survive that long flight. And think how much smarter you'll be when you get to your destination. Okay, enough grandstanding for all these audio-on-demand programs at Teacup Media. On behalf of Zhou Wei, leading the team at the Chengyu Research Center, this here's Laszlo Montgomery signing off once again from the City of Angels, Jiazhou, Luosanji. Please consider coming back next time, would you, for another useful, satisfying, and nutritious Chengyu here at the Chinese Sayings Podcast.